Hello, hello! Today I'm going to be going over the Early Access Patch 2 for No Rest for the Wicked, a patch that, honestly, I'm really excited for, because it fixes almost all of my remaining problems with the game. Of course, the game's still in Early Access, things are going to change, evolve, content's unfinished, that's all totally fine. There are a few things, though, that, especially in the early portion of my gameplay, did really bother me, one of which was you can't respec and you also can't try weapons. So you get a really cool strength-based weapon, you make your build strength, and then you get a really cool dex-based weapon and you're like, oh, I'd love to try this. Too bad, so sad, you have to make a new character. And that was really frustrating to me, because I like trying builds. Now, to be clear, Moon Studios said they wanted Respec to have a cost, and fully respecing does have a significant cost. Tidying up a couple attributes here and there, no big deal. But now you can also try weapons. I know I'm a little bit late to this news, as it came out a couple days ago, but hey, it's been a busy couple days for me. That said, if you want to stay up to date on everything No Rest for the Wicked, do be sure to get subscribed, leave a like while you're down there, and for now I'm going to go over some of the highlights of the patch notes, at least for me. First up, tons of performance stuff, mostly CPU based this time, but also support for DLSS and FSR. So if you're on an older machine, or these days if you're on pretty much any machine, since most machines do tend to give more stable frame rates with DLSS or FSR enabled, then hey, it's an option. I suggest turning it on, get the newest driver, see how things go. If you don't like it, then turn it off and go back to the way you were playing before in terms of your graphic settings. We've also got fixes for things like memory leaks, which is really, really good. I tend to leave the game running for a very long time whenever I'm playing something because I'm taking notes, I'm recording segments, all that. And memory leaks, even if you have 32 gigabytes of RAM, trust me, they do hit your performance. That's good. But the most exciting thing, overall, thing I'm most excited for, personally at least, is the Respec system and weapon tryout. So this will take place in the Serum Crucible, meaning you have to have completed all the story content available so far. All right, so I loaded up my original character here. This was the two-handed swordsman / straight swordsman that was strength-based. And I'm going to be honest, I messed up my stat spread quite a bit, because I was new to the game, and I didn't know better, and I was trying stuff, and I wanted to try a bunch of weapons. And as a result, I never got to try Falstad Darak's weapon. So what am I going to do about that? Well, for one, I don't need the dex and int. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to get rid of that. It costs me 7 fallen embers. And then I can also get rid of, let's just say, 6 stamina points, because I don't need that either. Which means I'll get 13 attribute points back for the cost of 13 fallen embers. It'll show on my stat sheet that my stamina will drop. I could maybe do this. I could drop 1 point in equip load, but you know what? Maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe I want to, in fact, increase it to wear some heavier armor. Get myself that extra defense, maybe the big old shield. Of course, I'll need some points to put into Faith, get that to at least 22. Wait a minute. Need to try out a weapon. So before I finalize where I'm going to put all of those points, because I might want to take some out of Strength to better maximize on the Strength Faith sort of build, if that's what I like. Gonna respec the attributes and go try that weapon without meeting the Faith requirement. Now the next thing is you can equip all weapons regardless of attribute requirements. So if you get something and you're like, okay, this seems really cool. I haven't gotten any spear, but I'm a strength build, spear, strength, dex. You know, I could invest in it, but I want to try it first. Now you can. If you get the super awesome sword off of Falstad Darak, which is a strength faith thing, but until that point you've been a straight sword strength build, guess what? You can now equip it and try it. You get to feel out the moveset, you get to use the runes. However, your damage won't be ideal. In fact, your damage will probably be pretty abysmal. So what you'll then have to do is unlock and go to the Serum Crucible and respec your character, which I think is a super small cost to pay. I really like this. It's a great step forward. And again, it solves my 2 biggest remaining problems of the game. So, this is all great, great news. Let's see it in action as I tried a few weapons that I've been meaning to see how they work. Alrighty, so before I find an enemy, I need to bring up my inventory here. And as you can see, I have the 16 strength, but I do not have the 16 faith to use Falstad's Fury. But you know what? Doesn't matter, I can equip it. It gives significantly less damage than it should. There's a huge damage penalty because I don't meet the requirements. And you can see that here. But you know what? If I just want to go bash an enemy a little bit, see how it goes, I can totally do that. Just need to find an enemy to do some bashing. There we go. Oh, okay, he's bashing me instead. You'll notice I'm not doing very much damage at all. But I can also try out some of the runes. You know, when I'm not being beat up for doing no damage. Okay. Got a Whirlwind rune. Well, got a taking tons of damage because I'm not trying to block rune. There we go. Now I can see that's his heavy attack. It's kind of a stepping thing. This is his light attack. And if I wanted to do full damage and see how that goes, maybe I've already decided this is really cool. I like the weapon. Well, I will just put the points in, start actually scaling stuff. And you'll notice all of a sudden the damage has jumped to 22. It jumped up massively because now I have the requirements to wield it, thus enabling the proper scaling. So do not expect this to be easy to use. Don't go fight the Echo Knight with a weapon that you can't use. I mean, I guess you do you. I can't tell you how to live your life, but it's probably not going to go that well. But hey, if you just want to try something, maybe I want to see what the moveset for the Shattered Sun is, I could just equip it right now. Here we go. Oh. So it's a big spiral swinging weapon. Gotcha. That's how that works. You're able to try stuff. It's great. This is something that I wanted as soon as I got a couple weapon drops. I'm really happy it's part of the game now. We've also got a few more quality of life improvements here. Inventory items can be docked to compare them. So if you want to compare a shield to, let's just say, 3 other shields, it's much easier to do now. The misc category in your inventory is back. So things like housing items, runes, etc. will no longer clog up other spaces. This is good. The game's inventory system was already pretty darn limited, and it definitely felt awkward to have that taken away. And also, vendor screens are now sorted a bit better. I've checked in game. This is pretty nice. I don't think it's the sort of thing you'll notice, but you definitely notice the lack of it. Then we've got the support for DLSS and FSR. Also, custom keybinds for controller. Personally, I've never really needed that, but more options are always good, and I'm a huge advocate of custom keybind stuff, so I'm very happy to see this. Default is mouse and WASD. Obviously, you can change that. That was added in the last major patch, which is really, really good. That resolved my biggest single complaint about the game, at least in terms of keyboard and mouse. Lots of good things here. New enchantments. Haven't really tried this out yet. Throw runes can be added to spears, which I love because throw runes are awesome. They're my favorite runes in the entire game. Some new stuff added to Fillmore and Whitaker. Haven't tried those weapons yet, but I look forward to it. And hey, now I can actually try them. You know, this was very much a thing that I expected to happen. The cost was increased, but also I didn't think that was enough. Throw runes hit incredibly hard and they added a ton of safety. The poise damage being nerfed makes total sense, and the nerf to the damage on the ice throw also makes sense. It hit just as hard as fire and plague throw, but it also CC'd stuff. And so now there's a trade-off there. Personally, I still think that throw runes are really, really good. They're just not overpowered. They're actually balanced. This is where they should be. And then there's a few other balance changes. We'll see how that goes. I haven't tested too much in terms of the focus generation stuff in a focus-heavy build. Could be that'll feel bad, especially for staff users. Could be it'll feel totally fine. At least as a melee build, I don't expect it's going to be super problematic. Then a few updates here. Polished v Dark boss fight. That's good. His behavior was always a little bit wonky, where he won't stand idle after attacking. This should make the fight a little bit more difficult, but also more consistent. Then some bite attacks and stuff. Back attacks added to enemies. The back attack to the Risen Axe Bruisers, especially interesting. And escape logic to the Risen Firebomber makes sense. The game should feel more responsive overall and the enemy actions more realistic. Then a few other things polished up here and there, but I'm just going to kind of brush over. The other very important things, various enchantments and unique weapons weren't working properly. I'm hoping this means stuff like action and attack speed on rings. I used those for a very long time before a YouTube commenter told me that actually, no, I hadn't been getting that, which is really sad because I always liked the idea of getting just enough speed to strike before the enemy and using that to interrupt them. So hopefully that's fully fixed now. Fixed rested bonus, good. Key items shouldn't respawn, makes sense. Lots of stuff here. This one is, oh man, the Echo fight is already very tough, and if it got bricked because he fell off the arena, that would make me really sad. So I'm glad this is fixed, as I'm sure that happened to a few unfortunate people. So for me personally, this and the first early access patch resolved basically all of my complaints about the game's early access state. To be clear, I always knew those things were going to be fixable. There's still a few things that I could see going either way, like the feedback/reinforcement loop you see with food and item durability. However, we need the game to be a little bit more content complete before we can tell if that's actually going to be good or bad long term. But overall, it's so nice to be able to try out different weapons, respec, play different builds, actually do experimentation, and now when there's another big content patch, I look forward to making a wide variety of builds and actually testing stuff in the endgame. Something which technically I could have done before, but it felt very lackluster because you had to have a new character for each build you tested, and if someone's stat spread didn't align with yours, it's not like they were likely to go out and level up a new character to try it. So both as a player and a content creator, I'm really happy about the state of the game. So my own personal recommendation would be, if you like focusing on gameplay, now's a great time to try No Rest for the Wicked. If you're more focusing on story and narrative, I would wait until the game comes out of early access. That way you'll have access to the entire story, and the tale will be complete. But that said, I'm curious, what are your thoughts about the patch? Is there anything that you feel like's unresolved? And are there any other issues that were really important to you that got resolved in either patch 1 or 2? Be sure to let me know down below, and also, if you're looking for something else to watch, maybe check out my review of No Rest for the Wicked. You can kind of see some of my thoughts on the game's strengths and weaknesses, and how a lot of those weaknesses have been addressed by the 2 patches. Link to that will be up in the card and down below. Now before I go, a special thanks to my patrons and channel members for the continued support. For as low as $1 a month, you can help make videos just like this one possible, and the link to support is down below. Also, a big thanks to everyone who watched to the end. Glad you enjoyed the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.